Hello, Year 4. It's me, Mr. Furlong. Oh, too soon. Me, Mr. Furlong, and I'm going to start doing some reading with you for our class book because it's such a shame that we started reading the class book and then lockdown hit probably about a week or two after, wasn't it? And then I think so. We've only read chapter 1, so it's a shame. But I'm going to try and read a chapter every day now. So first chapter I'm going to read today, and I'll keep reading a chapter each day. We'll go back to the beginning because it's been a while since we read in class. So the book is Operation Gadgetman. And we did a little bit of pre-reading, didn't we? Looking at these pictures, these people, wondering what they could be doing, wondering what they could be up to. Maybe they're investigating something, trying to find out what other people are up to, find out what's going on with the gadgets, the inventions. Operation Gadgetman, Mallory Blackman. She's the author of the book. Right. Chapter 1. Chapter 1 is called A Little Experiment. Boom! Whiz! Kaboom! The whole house shook and the windows rattled violently. Gadgetman was at it again. Beans was still only for a moment. She ran out of the bathroom and dashed downstairs, her toothbrush in her hand. Dad, what's going on? Beans yelled. A high-pitched whistle shrieked through the house again. Beans ran into the kitchen. Boom! Whiz! Eek! Beans threw herself down onto the kitchen floor. Only just in time, too. A small red and yellow Dewberry Whatsit whizzed through the open kitchen window and shot out over her head before veering left to crash into a box of cornflakes. Boom! Beans shook her head as she got to her feet. Dad could blow up his workroom if he wanted to, and he often did. But did he have to blow up the whole kitchen as well? Dad's workroom was at the bottom of the garden, but there were times when the bottom of the garden wasn't far enough away. Beans didn't mind her dad being an inventor much, but did he have to make so much noise about it? Beans, are you okay? Beans' dad called through the kitchen window. Yes, Dad, Beans frowned. What on earth are you doing? You didn't tell me your animal crunchies were meant to explode like that. They're not. I got propellant mixture wrong. I better stop the rest of them from blowing up as well. Bye. Beans' dad started across the garden. He stopped abruptly. Have a think. What could abruptly mean? Think about that work we did before Christmas about reading before and after the sentence. How might he have stopped here? He stopped abruptly and turned back. So he stopped and then turned around again, having thought of something. So abruptly must mean suddenly. He stopped abruptly and turned back. Beans, you won't say a word to your friends about what happened on Wednesday night, will you? No, Dad. Our secret? Our secret, Beans agreed, as if she would tell anyone. No way. Beans went into the hall. Another explosion sounded behind her. She raised her eyes heavenwards, then walked faster. We had a discussion, didn't we, about what heavenwards would mean. Think about what direction heaven people think of heaven being. Upwards, so her eyes would have looked up. Then walked faster. I don't have time for all this. I have to get ready for school, Beans thought firmly. She started up the stairs, vigorously brushing her teeth. So really aggressively. We spoke of that one as well, didn't we? When the doorbell rang with a sigh, she turned to open the door. She'd never get to school at this rate. It was her two best friends, Louisa and Anne. They always walked to school together. Beans grinned, the toothbrush frothy and bubbling in her mouth. Oh, mad girl, call the RSPCA. Anne took a hasty step back. Beans laughed before choking on the toothpaste. Oh, Beans, do you have to? Louisa wrinkled up her nose. That is so gross. Whiz! They all jumped. What on earth was that? Anne asked, her green eyes round like saucers. Your dad? Beans nodded. Who else could be making that kind of racket at 8:15 in the morning? Mr. McKee, their neighbour, would be knocking on the front door for sure with all that din. It sounds like he's trying to give everyone on the street a heart attack. Louisa frowned. Bean shrugged, then pointed to her mouth and darted up the stairs. So darted, what do darts do? They fly really fast, don't they? Darted up the stairs. Toothpaste rinsed out, she ran back downstairs to the hall to join her friends. Dad was there, ahead of her. His hair was sticking up in tufts all over his head. His glasses were practically off his nose, and the right hand arm of his glasses was sticking in his ear rather than resting on top of it. He was wearing a blue t-shirt and the shorts Beans had bought him for Christmas, the ones with Bugs Bunny playing tennis all over them, and he only had one slipper on. Is everyone sure they're all right? Bean's dad asked nervously. Louisa nodded. Anne bit her bottom lip and lowered her eyes, trying her best not to laugh. Beans couldn't blame her. Why did Dad have to be so embarrassing? I was doing a little experiment and it went ever so slightly wrong, he said. As always, Beans muttered. Pardon, dear? Nothing, Dad, said Beans hastily. Rats! I've forgotten my jacket. I'll be right back. And she ran upstairs to her room. When she came downstairs again, Dad said, I'm just telling your friends about my latest invention, animal crunchies. They're biscuits shaped like various animals, which actually cook as you propel them through the air. Mind you, you have to lob them quite a few times before the ingredients cook properly, but it's worth it because then you get hot, fresh shortcake biscuits. Isn't that terrific? I got the idea for them by accidentally. Actually, it was, Dad, you have to hold your horses until this afternoon or we'll be late for school. Beans glanced down at her watch. But it won't take long. We don't have the time, Dad, honest, Beans said. Oh, okay then, her dad said sadly. Beans sighed. Louisa and Anne are coming round for dinner tonight, so you can explain how your Uji Watsits work later, she said. Her dad's forlorn expression had got to her. All right then, he brightened up. I'll make sure there's plenty of food ready for you all when you get here. Thank you, Mr. Conran, Louisa smiled. Yes, thanks, Mr. C, said Anne. Beans turned to lead the way out of the house when her dad piped up from behind her. Oh, just a minute, everyone. He trotted into the kitchen. Beans looked at her watch again, tapping her foot. Beans, if I was to stay behind after school to write another essay for being late, my arm will drop off, Louisa whispered. My mum will go into orbit, Anne added. Dad! Here we are. Bean's dad came out of the kitchen, a small black plastic briefcase in either hand. There you are, Anne. This one's for you, he said, handing it over to the case to Louisa. And this one's for you, Louisa, he continued, handing the second briefcase to Anne. Dad, you've got them the wrong way round again, Bean said patiently. She pointed to Louisa. That's Louisa, she pointed to Anne, and that's Anne. I have told you before. Oh, yes, so you have, her dad said vaguely. Sorry, Beans tutted. How could he get her friends mixed up? Louisa was black and Anne was white, for goodness sake. Thank you so much, Mr. Conran. It was very kind of you. Louisa looked down at the briefcase in her hand. What is it? They're Gadgetman spy kits, Bean's dad announced proudly. They're going to be in all the shops from the end of this month. Tell your friends, tell your parents, tell everyone. Buy now, before the Christmas stampede. It was only June. Oh, Dad, Bean shook her head. If she shook it any more that morning, it would probably drop off her neck. Some fathers shouldn't be allowed. They really shouldn't. Especially hers. Pring, 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 pring. Got some good example of, I don't know if you can see this. Good example of onomatopoeia here. Can we see it? Let's get really close. Oh, there we are at the bottom. Pring, pring. Onomatopoeia that we're learning in literacy. That sounds like the doorbell. Someone was pressing the doorbell, and they obviously weren't going to take their finger off it until the front door opened. Beans and her dad looked up at each other. "Mr. McKee," they said in unison. Beans' dad turned round to scarper back to his workroom. "Oh, no, you don't, Dad. Stay where you are." Beans opened the door. "Beans, I'd like to speak to your father about all those explosions going off in your garden, please," Mr. McKee said tersely. Now we think tersely. Think what could that mean? Think what has been said. What do we know about Mr. McKee? He said that he wants to speak to her father about the noise. He's not very happy. So tersely must mean slightly angrily and not very happy. He looked past Beans and saw who he was looking for. His dark, bushy eyebrows fell so low over his narrowed eyes that they practically touched his kneecaps. "Dad, we'll see you later." Beans pulled Louisa and Anne out of the front door with her. "Beans, couldn't you, her dad began. "Sorry, no can do. We'll be late for school if we hang around much longer," Beans said. "Mr. Conran, I'm fed up. I'm warning you, one more bang, one more explosion, just one more teeny tiny pop, and I'm calling the police," ranted Mr. McKee. Beans and her friends didn't wait to hear any more. They left her dad on the front doorstep discussing his latest invention and the noise it made with his irate neighbour. The three girls marched quickly down the hill. "Why didn't you stay behind? Your dad obviously wanted you to," Louisa said. "Dad has to learn to get himself out of trouble," Beans retorted. "I can't keep doing it for him all the time." "Where did he get his Animal Crunchies idea from?" Anne laughed. "I've never heard of anything like that before." "Is it any wonder?" Beans said dryly. "Who else would come up with an idea like that?" Louisa looked down at her watch. "I hate to tell you this, but..." She didn't need to say the rest. Without any of them suggesting it, they all started running. They were going to be late for school. Again. The next chapter, chapter 2, is called Gadget Man Goes Missing. So let's use this as a bookmark for a minute. Right, enjoyed that. First chapter of Operation Gadget Man. Next chapter will be up today, and the next chapter will be up tomorrow, and so on and so on. Maybe not weekends. Right, have a good day of learning for the rest of the day. Bye.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I am here to give you all your messages. We're going to jump right on in and see what messages are here for you, okay? Y'all see, look, it's giving me fairy dust.